3 things I for sure learned yesterday. To win this level of football, to get to the Super Bowl, you need to put up a lot of points. 87 total between the 2 winners. Number 2, to get those points, you need yourself a quarterback. You might need yourself a quarterback and a half. And number 3, not to be forgotten and always to be brought up in Pittsburgh, you need not good, not very good, but great coaching. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into hockey and or baseball. I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. NFC Championship, Eagles 55, Commanders 23 in Philadelphia. And out in Kansas City, the AFC champions were, again, the Chiefs, 32 over the Bills, 29. And like you, and I don't have to guess at this, you watched all 6+ hours of this football, most of which was really compelling, even the first one for a while, when Washington started coming back. And it wasn't entertaining enough to get you to forget about all the Steelers' shortcomings that were being exposed along the way. It's just how we go. You're looking at a quarterback doing a certain thing, and you're wondering why there isn't one like that here. You're looking at a wide receiver, tight end, defensive player, whatever it is. But more than anything, what leaped out to me, not speaking for anybody else, just me, was the canyon that very transparently separates how the Steelers coach from how these other teams coach. Now, I can say something like that without substantiating it, and probably half of everybody who's listening will just say, oh, yeah, absolutely, and not necessarily quantify it with anything. So what I wanted to do today, instead of bringing up, specific routes that wide receivers were running and ways that quarterbacks were making their reads in such structured, disciplined, quick manners, the very real balance between pass and run. I'm not even going to go offense on you. I'm going to go defense. I'm going to go defense with one play from last night's game that just leaped off the screen at me. If you stayed up and enjoyed that game, you're already going to know which one I'm talking about. Because time was running out. The Bills had the ball at midfield. It was 4th and 5. They basically had to make this. They had to convert this. And parenthetically here, I'm just going to throw in that I admire the hell out of Sean McDermott. And really, Andy Reid did some of this too, and just going for it on 4th down. All the math tells you should be doing this. All the math tells you that the punt should be in the past tense in general in this sport. But they didn't huddle up. They didn't call timeouts. They just said, yep, 4th down, just another down. What coach at any level of football wouldn't give a limb to have an extra down to move the ball past the sticks? And yet in the year 2025, we still have coaches saying, nah, just kick it and give it away. So here are the Bills. It's a must-pass situation. You're not going to try anything, totally wacky here. It's 4th and 5. And the 2-minute warning comes, which buys the Chiefs coaches a little bit of extra time to think about this. And that's deadly when you're facing Steve Spagnuolo. I get it that the Chiefs are all about Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, Taylor Swift, whatever. But the guy who never gets any credit for any of this is Spagnuolo, and he's unbelievably advanced in what he does and aggressive with it. So what he does here in this situation, 4th and 5, is he decides, in essence, I'm not going to let Josh Allen be the one to keep me from going to the Super Bowl again. But I also have so much respect for Allen that I know he's going to take advantage of anything that I show him that I haven't shown him yet. So what's he do? On the left side of the Chiefs' front, he slides Justin Reid up. And Reid's not an ordinary corner. Reid's a guy who a couple of years ago led the Chiefs in tackles, 97 if you can believe that, corner. And Reed is lining up across from a receiving target, looking very much like he would cover that guy. The ball snapped. He doesn't. He makes a straight line. No one sees this coming. Straight line, A to B, to Allen. The Bills do everything right. They have everybody picked up except for Reed. Reed smokes Allen out of the pocket to his right side. By all rights, at that point, there never should have been a play possible, but because he's Josh Allen, he puts the ball up in the air on a prayer that actually, not to get parenthetical again, but Dalton Kincaid should have caught and made all this moot. But the reason that he didn't is because Spagnuolo busted him. Spagnuolo was out there playing chess, and he set his eyes on the only target on the board that mattered to him. Now, if we want to get into a compare and contrast, and all I have as a counter on the Steelers' behalf is that they wouldn't blitz this year no matter what because the head coach had made up his mind last summer that they were too good for that. Our guys are so great up front that they don't need any support. So he advertised that to the entire league. Halfway into the season, everyone went, you know what? If this is all they're going to do, we're just going to put two people on TJ Watt and yawn through the rest. And they did. And they did. We're talking about chess or checkers or marbles here. But the Steelers couldn't even be bothered to find a way to move TJ around a little bit. Why? Because they thought of something last summer. They thought it was smart. They were afraid that if they changed it, they wouldn't look so smart. Spagnuolo showed a play, a specific blitz, that according to the Chiefs afterward, he hadn't shown in this game, and he really hadn't shown much all season. Talk about stuffing away a beauty into that hip pocket when you need it the most, huh? When we come back, J1Q. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George is a personal injury law firm in Western Pennsylvania that represents injured people in automobile accidents, workers' compensation cases, and medical malpractice claims. The attorneys at Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George pride themselves in doing what they say they're going to do. It's important to them that when they make you a promise, they keep that promise. And this law firm has been keeping promises for over 80 years. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George has been AV rated. That's the highest rating a law firm can receive for legal ability and ethics. And the lawyers at the firm have been designated super lawyers, that's a real thing, for over 15 years. Rare combination there. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George has offices in Cranberry, Newcastle, Beaver Falls, Butler, and Elwood City. Learn more about them at lgkg.com or by calling 888-842-5454. Again, that's 888-842-5454. Today's J1Q comes from Michael, and it was sent in after the championship games last night. Asks DK, is it possible to win a Super Bowl today without a top 10 quarterback? Assuming it's not, how did the Steelers get one without getting very bad first? Lots of ways to get a quarterback. It's lazy almost to bring up Brock Purdy anymore. But, Purdy was last round guy. And Purdy's now about to become a really, really wealthy individual. And you can say that that's because of the genius of the 49ers schemes and the excellence of Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. And you'd actually be right to a large extent. But all by himself, he answers that question. As do others in history, by the way. But is it a whole heck of a lot easier like this? Sure. And I've talked almost entirely about coaching so far, but you look at the visions, the decisions, the guts, the physical performances of Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen both last night. Other than Allen looking shaky at the very, very beginning, this was quarterback excellence back and forth. And it's something that'll surprise absolutely nobody, because when you talk about who the top quarterbacks are in all of football, depending on where you happen to stand on Lamar Jackson, and I know that's always a debatable one, these two guys are if they're not the best over an extended period, like over the past handful of years, I don't know who is. But I also, I have a hard time looking at this from the Steelers' perspective and saying that it's got to be someone at that level. So I like the number that you assigned, because most people will say top 3, top 5. If you say top 10, then think about the other quarterbacks that you're starting to bring into this mix. Think about the young quarterbacks, some of whom come into the league right away, like a Jaden Daniels, like CJ Stroud. And while you want to see more of them, meaning more years out of them before you can put them into any kind of special category, you also feel like you can get behind them the way everybody has in Washington with Daniels, and before that, the way they did with Stroud in Houston. You get behind them. You wait for them to lead you. You're eager for them to actually not just lead you, but to carry you in some situations. It's what happened in KC almost right away with Mahomes. And it's something that exudes confidence through the entire operation. Everyone feels, maybe because of what you're saying here, that they've got a chance because they've got that guy over there. What'll it take for the Steelers? Well, the only formula it feels like to me that anybody ever wants to talk about is lose so much that you end up with a, top 2, top 3 pick, be absolutely horrible, and then wait for, the next Joe Burrow to pop out of LSU. Burrow or bust. But I also can look around the league and see that there are some quarterbacks that legitimately take time to become their best selves. When he was still here, I had a talk with Mason Rudolph on this subject. Not that I'm putting him into this category, just hear me out here, okay? He would certainly have a perspective. He's a professional quarterback who's been through a lot, seen a lot. And when Mason started laying out for me some of the hyper specifics of things that quarterbacks have to learn, his mind is blown that players can come in and excel right away. And even then, you might recall Ben Roethlisberger's famous line about how, talk to me after 3 years. That was back when they were asking him all kinds of RG3 questions. Remember that? This is an incredible class, Ben. Do you think this is the best class since your class with Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers? And he would say, get back to me in 3 years. And sure enough, in 3 years, poof, they were gone. And RG3 specifically was pretty much gone at that point. My more direct answer to you, where do the Steelers get one of these? Well, you can draft in positions that aren't the top 2 or 3 or wherever. You can draft quarterbacks that you like. Or you can look at the one that you currently have, the one who was a number 11 overall pick out of Ohio State, who has every natural tool in the kit, and who very legitimately was progressing. And people who come at me on this subject come back with all this tired stuff about the Bears and what he was doing, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't care. I care about the player that I saw. I care about the player that I got to know this year. I got to understand a lot of what makes Justin Fields tick. And all of it, no exceptions, checking every box, impressed me. Why would you not give this individual a chance to be that at age 26? Definitely not the answer you wanted, the answer I gave anyway. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. I might or might not be engaged in a certain football thing this afternoon, and we'll be sure to talk about it on tomorrow's show. Don't miss this one.